Trump-Harris debate exposing media bias and voter anger. Hi, this is Peter Boykin, and I am a constitutionalist for liberty, and you have tuned in to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin. I think it's time for us to go right. The Trump-Harris debate highlights voter frustrations over bias. In a major political event, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris squared off in their first presidential debate. While the focus was supposed to be on the economy, immigration, and foreign wars, it was the moderators who garnered the most attention. David Muir and Lindsey Davis allowed Kamala Harris to sidestep key questions, while consistently grilling Trump on contentious issues such as January 6th and race. The bias was particularly evident when Trump attempted to explain a past sarcastic remark, only to be, quote, fact-checked by Muir, who stated, quote, "I didn't detect the sarcasm." Meanwhile, Harris's misleading claims, such as her reference to the Charlottesville hoax, were left unchecked. Even some Democrats noticed the lopsided approach, with hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman tweeting, quote, "Why do the moderators only fact-check Trump and not Kamala Harris?" Now, Trump supporters pointed to Harris's exaggerated facial expressions and her hollow, researched lines as tactics meant to undermine Trump's points. Despite this, Trump remained composed, reminding voters of the economic pain and national security failures of the current administration. Now, I'll give you a side note. There has been talks about possible Kamala Harris having a pair of earrings that could have been earrings that you could hear through. Don't know how to prove it. Don't know how to not to prove it. It's hard for somebody to say it's unfounded. It's hard for somebody to say it was or wasn't. Since they didn't check, we'll never know. I can tell you this, it's possible, because they've had that similar cheating scheme on a long time ago on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. One of the first guys who won $1 million came back. It was a cheating scheme. He had eyeglasses that had a device in them you could hear from. There's been other schemes throughout game show history and stuff. So it's very possible. And the other possibility was the allegedness of having Kamala Harris having the questions beforehand. Well, I'll follow up with this. Apparently, when they were talking about, I can't remember, it's like the Fateful Five or whatever they were calling, about those individuals that Trump called that they should be executed if they are guilty. Well, eventually they were exonerated. Well, in the green room, or whatever they called it, the spin room, after the event that only Trump attended because Kamala Harris didn't, she disappeared. One of those individuals that was freed confronted Donald Trump in the spin room. Now, why would that individual even know to be there if the questions weren't already leaked to the press and possible Kamala Harris? Now, for me, I think if a debate, instead of we're trying to do gotcha questions, we're trying to get the candidates to answer as many questions as possible. Why not give the candidates the questions in advance so they both can be prepared to answer the questions? And in my opinion, Kamala Harris couldn't answer the questions. Instead, what she did was spend the time baiting Donald Trump and having the other two, which was David Muir, and turns out the other one was a sorority sister of Kamala Harris, fighting Trump the whole time. There's the problem. And one other observation that I've got from that debate, and I know I've given you observations in the past, Donald Trump spoke of peace. He spoke of finding peace between Russia and Ukraine. But Kamala Harris literally admitted that the United States finds themselves at war with Russia. They've admitted it because they want to win the war. They're aiding NATO. They're aiding Ukraine to win this war. So we've basically told Russia that the United States is actually actively at war with them. How do you sidestep that? So Kamala wants war. She wants to push us toward World War III. Donald Trump wants to find peace. I think that's one thing that the undecided voters need to decide on. Now let's move along. So Joe Biden gets MAGA friendly at the 9 in a lighter moment that gained traction online. Joe Biden was spotted swapping hats with a Trump supporter during a 9/11 event. The president was seen smiling and wearing a MAGA hat, causing some in the crowd to speculate if he had joined the movement. But of course, it was all in good humor. The moment gave Americans a rare, lighthearted interaction in the midst of a politically tense environment. But I'm going to tell you this, in a MAGA dream that I have, as much as Biden has done a lot of things in the past, and he's got to think about that. If Donald Trump wins, and I think he will Donald Trump go after Biden? Because the left, Obama, Kamala, people in there have really pushed Biden out, and they said a political coup in a way. Biden wanted to run again. He didn't want to step down as president, but they pushed him out. So it makes me wonder, in an October surprise, wouldn't it be so keen? Wouldn't it be so wonderful and keen? And for some little sense, if they could call it dementia, whatever they want to call it, Joe Biden said, screw it. My political career is over. And these a-holes have pushed me out of being president. Wouldn't it be neat to turn on the TV sometime in the late October, right before the vote? I'm Joe Biden, and I'm formally endorsing Donald Trump. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Big FU to the political party that basically pushed him out of the presidency. He doesn't have to admit he was wrong or anything. He just say, I'm endorsing Donald Trump. Why not? I would say, why not? Kamala and Biden didn't get along that much beforehand. So no blood lost there. All right. Meanwhile, the SAVE Act is the center of the GOP's funding battle. Once again, the House Republicans are battling over the upcoming government funding bill. Here we go again, with the conservative-backed SAVE Act at the core of the debate. This bill, passed by the House in June, requires proof of citizenship to register for federal elections. But Democrats in the Senate, the ones that want to save our democracy right all the time, have refused to take it to a vote. Now Republicans, led by Speaker Mike Johnson, want to tie the SAVE Act to the short-term funding package to prevent a government shutdown. I say shut it down. Why not? Shut the government down. Be hard to do the vote, but do it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all this crap. They need to get the stuff done. Meanwhile, some Republicans are concerned that pushing this too hard could result in a government shutdown, potentially closing the party, its House majority. Representative Nick Latoya of New York cautioned, quote, allowing a shutdown means we could lose the House majority, signaling his concerns. Meanwhile, Trump has expressed unwavering support for the SAVE Act, writing on Truth Social, quote, Democrats are trying to stuff voter registrations with illegal aliens. Don't let it happen. Close it down. Now, this debate is gaining traction because of reports from states like Texas and Virginia, where thousands of illegal aliens have been discovered on voter rolls. Given the razor-thin margins in swing states, illegal votes could potentially tip the scales in the upcoming election. And they could. That's what we got to worry about. Not just stuffing ballot boxes. Now we're stuffing the ballots with, not just stuffing them with dead people or people who aren't supposed to be voting, people who really aren't supposed to be voting. Meanwhile, inflation and economy is uncertainty. Inflation in August of 2024 ticked down to 2.5%, the lowest rate in 3 years, but essential costs are still soaring. Core expenses like electricity, rent, and groceries continue to spike, and electricity costs are up 3.9%. Rent has increased 5%, And car insurance has jumped to 16.5%. Perhaps most striking is the 28.1% surge in egg prices. While inflation numbers are improving, Americans are still feeling the squeeze on their wallets. People can't afford things. And meanwhile, Kamala Harris is like, we're going to move forward. We're not going to go back. We're moving forward with new leadership. You were the leader. Like Donald Trump said, go wake up. Go wake up, Biden. It's about 4 p.m. Go wake up his ass and say, hey, we need to get this stuff done while we're still here. Yeah, right. I don't believe it's new leadership. You're trying to say it's new leadership. It's not. It's not. Meanwhile, crypto scams and economic worries. In a troubling report, Americans lost a staggering $5.6 billion into cryptocurrency scammers in 2023 alone. I've also lost crypto to scammers, and I'm pretty good about not getting scammed, but I have been scammed. Wasn't by much, like $40, but I have been scammed. As more than a political, as digital currencies gain popularity, scammers are exploiting the lack of regulation and understanding in this market. Meanwhile, 43% of Americans are expressing a high level of concern over future terrorist activities and attacks, adding to the anxieties facing the nation. I will tell you also, there's a scam going on where somebody will text you. I've gotten this twice now. Somebody will text you, acting like they're a wrong number. Oh, I think I had the other day. Hey, Margaret, do you want to go play golf today? And I respond back, who? And they go, oh, I'm sorry. I was driving. I texted the wrong number. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then 5 minutes later, I get a text back going, oh, thank you for understanding. You're such a friendly person. My name is so-and-so. What's your name? Yeah, don't answer that. That is some sort of social engineering where they want to try to gain your friendship or whatever. No, don't do it. Don't do it. They do it online now, do it from text messaging. Now, here's some other headlines to watch. The Biden DOJ dropped nearly half of the obstruction charges against January 6 defendants, following a Supreme Court ruling that deemed the charge unconstitutional. Except for there's some people in jail on that, like Enrique, probably Joe Biggs and others who were probably in jail because of that. I'd like to see them taken out of jail. Yeah, I haven't seen that happen. The governor of Ohio is sending law enforcement and healthcare resources to Springfield in response to a surge in Haitian illegal immigrants. Probably need to send PETA and the Humane Society in there as well. Meanwhile, concern. Oh yeah, we'll go into that. So they're still trying to discredit what Donald Trump said about them eating cats and ducks and everything. They're literal pictures. They're little videos. There are police reports. There are more than just white pissed off people. There are black people complaining about it as well. So they tried to send news crews over there. This is how tainted the news is. Oh, like let's first in Greensboro, North Carolina, they wanted to ask people about how they thought about the debate. So they only really found Kamala supporters. And they said, oh, this person, oh, it's great. Not one did they find a Donald Trump supporter. So you're like, well, nobody says Donald Trump won. Yeah, because they only splice and edit what they want to. So this is kind of what they did with Springfield. They ran the Springfield. And the only people they put on camera were really ticked off like redneck type, even though it's Ohio, white people who are mad about the illegal immigrants. And so they would make them like look like they're crazy or they're making things up, and they would talk about, because of the person that hit a bus and it killed someone, and now people are upset and they're making up stuff. And then they would cut to a couple of Haitians going, oh, we don't eat any cats. No, we're wonderful people. Oh, yeah. Because they're manipulating the news. I'm sorry. This is why they don't like free speech online. This is why they try to censor us. This is why they try to take us down. It's because we actually hear from real people. So don't believe it. Don't believe what they say. They'll keep saying unfounded and try to do everything they can to disprove it. Remember, Things like COVID, things like the 2020 election. They lie to you. The press lies to you. Meanwhile, concerns about the 2024 election are mounting as election officials warn that the U.S. Postal Service may not be able to handle the millions of mail-in ballots expected. Okay. Yeah, right. In an effort to, maybe they should use Amazon. In an effort to clear out overcrowded shelters, New York City is offering the illegal immigrants up to $4,000 to leave taxpayer-funded shelters. And to do what with $4,000? What, buy a meal at McDonald's? Meanwhile, Bank of America announced plans to raise its minimum wage to $24 an hour with a goal to reach $25 by 2025. And WNBA star Caitlin Clark distanced herself from Kamala Harris despite enjoying Taylor Swift's Instagram endorsement of the vice president. So she's saying, I'm not got nothing to do with Kamala Harris. And yeah, Taylor Swift might have endorsed the vice president, but who cares? And that brings us to the hashtag Go Right recap. This week's political scene was dominated by the first Trump-Harris debate, where moderators' biases and Harris' rehearsed performance were the real story. Trump's unfiltered and direct responses earned him support from undecided voters, while Harris's vague answers left many wondering about her real plans for the country. Just to add, the day after the debate, I like to listen to some of the programming on ABC, CBS, who's tend to lean left. But to me, it sounded like one big giant info commercial for Kamala. Kamala won. Donald Trump sucks. Kamala won. Donald Trump sucks. Blah, blah, blah. And it's so forced. There's a show I like to listen to. It's called The Talk. I think Osborne used to be on that show. And then, was it Sherry or the black lady kind of forced her off the show? But normally, that show really stays away from politics. I always kind of like the show, and I always comment that they kind of stay away from politics. Oh no. The whole beginning of the show, almost half the show, was a love fest for Kamala Harris. Absolutely. She was so wonderful. And I think the Sherry lady, she said, that's why Fox News said that Kamala Harris won. I didn't hear that on Fox News. Fox News might not like Donald Trump, but I absolutely did not hear anything about Fox News saying Kamala Harris won. In fact, I heard ABC and everything basically quoting after the debate, even though they loved fest Kamala Harris, Kamala Chameleon, Kamala Flip-Flop. They were like, well, Kamala Harris didn't directly answer any of the questions. She did spend the time to change the debate and flipped it to get Donald Trump to get off his game. So in a way, they were basically saying that she did not answer her questions, but it was because of Love Fest. And I'd like to see where the money is going to these networks and everything from the Kamala campaign. I'd like to see how much Taylor Swift got paid. You know, remember, Taylor Swift has made a whole career over bad choices and singing her sorrows about her bad life choices. So, yeah, totally a person to follow. No matter if it's a right wing or a left wing, if you're taking your guidance on who to vote for president or who to vote off a celebrity, no, you need to do it on your own. Do it on your own. Do your own research. Moving on, the Republican Party's internal battle over the SAVE Act and government funding reveals the fractures within the party as they grapple with balancing election security and voiding a shutdown. And I'll talk about the balance. So a friend of mine, her name is Laura Loomer. She was one of the first persons that ran on stage when they were doing that with Jack Pacific long time ago, when they were doing that Et tu Brutus kind of thing, when they were making it look like they were killing Trump. And she stopped it. It got her a little bit of fame. She's a famous Jewish person who's a citizen journalist who they've been discrediting for the years. People have stolen her data. But in the last year or so, they have really been using her information. She's also famous for talking about the shooting. I think it was in Vegas or Nashville or whatever. And that whole, you'll have to look it up. She gave a lot of reports on that. Well, recently she happened to be with Donald Trump at the 9/11 memorial. And it might have upset a lot of people because I turned on the news. I looked on my news on my phone. All of a sudden, Laura Loomer. They were complaining about her, saying that Laura Loomer was spreading misinformation about the earring of Kamala Harris. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, calling her racist and to remove her remarks because she made a joke about how if Kamala Harris took over the White House, then the place would smell like curry, and they'd have a call center there. They'd run the White House like a call center. You could make a phone call, but you'd have to figure out who's talking to you, and they'll never get back to you and never get anything done. And so, because she was making fun of that, it's called satire. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, she's the AOC of the Republican Party. She's like, yeah, you should remove that. That's racist. I'm like, that just shows you the jealousy, the fight within the Republican Party. It's both a good and a bad thing, but just letting you know. Meanwhile, the economy continues to dominate headlines as inflation cools, but core expenses like rent and electricity remain sky high. And scams in the cryptocurrency market and worries over terrorism are only adding to the pressure many Americans feel in this volatile time. So stay informed, folks, and go to GoRightNews.com for the latest stories. Check out hashtag GoRight with Peter Boykin on Rumble.com, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and more. And if you want to support, donate via Cash App, $ Peter Boykin, the number 1, or visit GoRightNews.com and peterboykin.com for more details. God bless everybody, and thank you for listening. And please share. Peace.
The stage is set, it's Trump versus Kamala the clash. David Muir and Lindsey Davis trying to make it trash. Moderators bias, Trump gets no slack, but he's got the fire, keeps bringing facts back. Talking about the economy, the border that's breached. Kamala just smiles, but her words are weak. Dodging real issues, rehearsed for the gram. But Trump, he stands tall, no time for a sham. Trump says, wait a minute, I'm talking now. Kamala shaking, cause she don't know how to face the truth. It's clear as day, the people's choice, Trump's leading the way. We rise up, we stand proud in a world that's lost. Trump's voice is loud against the bias, against the lies. He's got the strength to unify. From the debate floor to the streets of Texas, illegal gangs, chaos reckless. Time to get real, time to see we're gonna stand for our liberty. El Paso's burning, it's out of control. Illegal gang running, taking their toll. Trendy Aragua, yeah, they're running wild. Border security weak, they've been beguiled. From Texas to Colorado, apartment blocks fall. Crime's on the rise, who answers the call? But Trump's got the plan, no time for soft words. Unlike Harris, who's copying Biden's blurs. SpaceX is warning, Musk is mad. Biden-Harris regime, they've been so bad. Starship delayed, America falls behind, while Taylor Swift's out there losing her mind. We rise up, we stand proud in a world that's lost. Trump's voice is loud against the bias, against the lies. He's got the strength to unify. From the debate floor to the streets of Texas, illegal debate gave a nod, the people respond. Harris can't handle it, she's too far gone. 47% say she's too extreme. America's worry is more than a dream. We need a leader who'll make us great. Trump's got the plan, and we won't wait. Oh, we won't wait. We rise up, we stand proud in a world that's lost. Trump's voice is loud against the bias, against the lies. He's got the strength to unify. From the debate floor to the streets of Texas, illegal gangs, chaos reckless. Time to get real, time to see we're gonna stand for our liberty. Go right, be right, and vote right today. Stand for the truth in the American way. A constitutionalist for liberty will fight to protect this nation and do what's right. We're going right.